Welcome back, rail fans. It is in between Christmas and Thanksgiving. I was hoping to get something out around Thanksgiving, but at least it's before Christmas. Here we are in Butler, and you can see from some paperwork floating around that we actually did a test session last Tuesday just to see, actually primarily to work Butler. So we did about a little less than half of a operating session for all of the traffic that runs through Butler or originates in Butler. So we still have some more to do. So far, Butler Yard seems to be working. The size of the yard, the number of tracks, the configuration of the town itself, and the industries. So far, so good. Obviously, very early on, but definitely want to put it through its paces before we start doing any serious ballasting or scenery or anything that would be make it more challenging to undo. I am still woefully short on rolling stock, so that might be why Butler Yard is not too small, but we'll see. As far as progress, we'll work west to east as we typically do. So just to the left of those two switch stands would be WS Tower. That is where the northern branch departed from the main line. And you can actually see during the test operating session, I put the northern branch train just on the power siding where the locomotives will be stored, where they pick up and set off power, since the northern branch isn't done yet. But it does have ties the entire length of the branch, all glued down and stained. I also finished the spline. If you recall from the last video, in this area I got a little bit overzealous with the foam, and I was able to work some clamps, just bend the foam down and get some clamps in to finish the spline. So spline and ties are done into through the backdrop for staging, and this will be code 55 since the northern branch even operating today is got some very lightweight or light capacity trestles and some pretty light rail. So as I said, weak or low on rolling stock, but Pittsburgh and Newcastle and Connellsville staging yard is packed. So I think I've added, with the help of others who have helped build some kits for me and even do some painting, I think I've added maybe 35 or 40 cars to the railroad. Still need a bunch more, but having a hard time finding a place to put them because we are packed here in the western staging yard. As far as other progress, really nothing in the first room. However, in the second room, I think last time valier was just ties. Now we've got code 70 rail for the entire, I believe it's the Eureka mine here in valier. We've got the base in for the town of Elk Run, or a portion of the town of Elk Run, and where the main line goes underneath, that'll be Simpson Tunnel. Obviously some compression here because Elk Run was not on top of Simpson Tunnel, but these are the compromises we make. And the Elk Run branch, which I think was actually the Adrian Mine line, will be the yard lead for the west end of Riker Yard. This is another component of Elk Run, so there'll be more industries in here. So the main line climbs up, I forget what grade I did, like maybe 2.5%. It climbs up into Riker Yard, but the Adrian branch, the switching track or the switching lead is level, and this is a siding that'll be used to store cars to switch the Elk Run Industries. But we are in Riker Yard, and bench work is in, not for the whole yard, but for a little bit more than half of it. So that was why we were able to start doing some just test operating sessions to see how things worked by at least using some of the capacity here in Riker Yard. I'm going to hop up on a stool. The bench work took a while, but what really took a while is I did 3 number 8 crossovers. So there's one in the back one here, and one coming off the main. So at Punxsutawney going east, Railroad East, which is kind of compass north, we pick up another main line. So you've got two mains here, which are 2 inches apart, and then I set the runner for the yard 2.5 inches, because that helped change the grade between the higher cork and the end scale cork. Gave me a little bit more capacity to transition down. And then here I've got some shims that are cut, and this will be everything else will be code 70 number 6 turnouts, and the yard will be all hand laid right down on the homosote. What I did, this is a change from my original plan, and we'll hope it works. I abandoned the notion of doing arrival departure tracks because they're simply not prototypical. But I think because I'm going to be able to work 2 crews here in Riker, one on each end, what I decided to do instead is have basically a train coming east can get to either main and can also cross over, get onto the runner, and therefore get into any yard track. Conversely, the runner, because of the additional 2 crossovers, the yard switcher can get to any yard track, again, through this turnout, but also can get to the runner or either main. And my plan is to do that at the other end too. So that way we have trains that could originate in the yard and can easily get out to the main, or vice versa, they could terminate. Also, most of the trains that don't terminate or originate here in Riker do pick up and set off cars. So this way, basically there's access to everything. So like I said, the yard lead can access all the tracks, and a train moving on either main can access all the tracks. So virtually all the trains that come in through Riker Yard that don't originate or terminate here, almost all of them set out cars or pick up cars. So they can do that from the main, or they can come into the yard, or the yard switcher can work them from either the front or the back of the train. So it's a lot of flexibility. And even if a train does foul the yard lead, that would just be for a train coming in or terminating or originating, and that would only foul one end of the yard. The other crew at the other end could continue working. So I don't think we have that much density that a slight pause is going to be an issue. I think the flexibility is more important, but only time will tell. But that took a while to build the basically 3 number 8 crossovers. So that's 6 turnouts right there, plus the first turnout to split the 2 mains, and the number 6 turnout to go up the yard ladder. So that's 8 turnouts, and I still have 1 more to put in. This will be the caboose track for the west end of the yard, and then I need 1 down there for that siding. The other thing that I plan to do is run the Riker to Butler turn. It's actually not a turn anymore. Now I've got it split into 2 trains. The first Butler to Riker train is already run. But for whatever reason, my most popular video, I think it's over 20,000 views, was running the Butler turn. That was on the old version of the railroad at the old house. And it was very, well, for me, very popular. So this will be basically a portion of that historic run, and this will be the Riker to Butler local. And again, like I said, there was a Butler to Riker. I haven't decided if I'm going to do it as a turn yet. I could, but given how large the railroad is now, I think it might work as 2 different trains entirely. I think it's enough work that it'll keep 1 crew busy. Each direction will keep 1 crew busy for a decent amount of time, but that is yet to be determined. So I don't have the switch list handy, but I know I have these 2 cars set out. So this just starts out as a 2-car train. Again, there probably will be longer trains, but until I add more rolling stock, the Ship It software is a little bit starved for cars, despite the fact that I've added a bunch. But railroad's a little bit bigger than it used to be. So Probably not the easiest to do one-handed. So we won't do this in this video, but I'll probably run another one hopefully in the next few days, and we can follow this train from Riker Yard all the way down to Butler, and it's going to work the various industries as well as the Pittsburgh and Shawmut interchange on the way. So, well, in spirit, similar to that old running the Butler turn, it's very different simply because I've done a better job trying to follow the prototype and have a little bit more room to be able to do that. But there's our train. And I think the bench work height here at Riker is 52 inches, so I can easily touch the backdrop without touching my arm to the top of the bench work. And what I did not do on my old railroad that I did do here is my standard continues to be 4 inches minimum to the center line of the first track off the backdrop. In Riker Yard, there's actually an embankment. There's a road that kind of parallels the yard, and it's up on an embankment, so I'll be able to start the road here where I've got a little bit more room, and then, you know, it'll probably just fade out to like a guardrail, but you'll be able to at least get the feel that the yard is sitting down below that road, which I know the name of it, but can't call it right now. And then I'm basically standing in a creek that runs along the southern side of Riker Yard. So we are making progress and consuming resources. This has it's a tremendous amount of cork and track. It's amazing how quickly you go through it and just the number of feeders. But I want to take my time and do everything diligently, because it's no fun to run operating sessions when trains stall, derail, or have other issues. So I think that is it for now. But like I said, stay tuned, and we'll run that Riker to Butler train and follow the switch list from Ship It, and hopefully that'll be fun. Until then.